a scion of many worlds. Viewing orbs are delicate, valuable pieces of art. They skip all the fuss and muss about sending a courier or a messenger bat out to communicate with people and let you hear their voices directly. They were a recreation of the lost era, of the great power that had brought their ancestors to Lochran, and the miracles they had all once been capable of. The miracles lost in the mad scramble to merely survive upon the brutality of the world. Every plant and beast and turn of the weather had to be learned before the world battered apart the surviving people, as it had once battered apart the age of miracles. A viewing orb should not suddenly sound out without being activated. It should not start with a crackling chiming noise or an absurdly deep and low voice with the eartheny trill asking if it's working. Suddenly the small orb shakes on its pillow and is then wreathed in crackling energy. From her throne, she rises. The arguing nobles of her court are suddenly silenced by the strange happenings in the very heart of the sundered empire. Her very presence is wreathed in holy light, as is proper for those of noble standing. To have a baser element, or even worse, the opposing element of darkness in her presence is nothing short of insult. All have their place, most of them far from her. But those of lesser light may be permitted for a time. She steps up to the small pedestal, and her holy presence activates the viewing orb further. It rises up and instantly projects the figure of an absurdly proportioned Earthani bedecked in armor and stained bluish green, or perhaps greenish blue with his own blood. But there are splashes of red as well, with tiny flickers of crystal dust within it. Had the disgusting monster just murdered a filthy earthborn? So, I'm assuming from the empty throne behind you that you are the Queen of Miru. Am I wrong? I am the Empress of Miru. That my territory has been split by the disgusting rebels does not change a thing. I shall rule the whole of Lochran in time. It is sacred and inevitable. She remarks with a sniff as she regards the creature. It is odd, but clearly beholding her is the greatest moment of its life. Oh, and what of those who were sent to die simply due to being parts of families out of favor, or those who were taken from their homes despite committing no crime and abandoned upon the wilds of your empire before being hunted down like simple beasts? Are you accusing me of wrongdoing? She demands. The Dusk family have... You will not speak the name of so foul a family in my presence. I'm on the border of the country. All lesser elements are equally worthless next to light itself. But darkness is the element which offends. They are not only worthless but foul, wretched, unworthy to live, that I haven't had them all executed for daring to befoul my world. Well, there goes my moral. In fact, for daring to mention so foul a thing in my presence, I hereby decree that all Earthani are to be expelled from Miru's borders. Lady, I'm literally the only Earthani on the planet capable of offending anyone, Jasper states in a tightly controlled tone to hold back his fury. He had imagined many things. He had hoped for a young, naive girl freshly installed into the seat of power and unwilling to move without advisors. Circumnavigating those advisors and talking circles around such a person would allow this conquest to become nigh bloodless. He had been told she was young, but not belligerent and teenage young. I care not. You are Earthani and you have offered me insult. Insult must be answered with blood. And the fact that the insult is born of the fact that I find your treatment of the people you wield power over to be disgusting and insulting to all with good sense brings us where? Jasper challenges her, and her eyes widen comedically. You dare! I dare you, incompetent tyrant! He rebounds, and there is a gasp in the central chamber. He rolls his eyes before gesturing behind himself. Some kind of shushing motion to some unseen individual. Not that she cares in the slightest. You filth! You think that rising as some form of insane, inane champion of the lesser elements will spare you from my wrath? I will reduce you to naught but bleached bone beneath my holy light, and damn any and all that dare to stand with you. They mean nothing to you, don't they? They could all be slaves in chains for all you care, so long as they continue to work as they do now. Jasper goads her, and she doesn't even pause. The lesser elements are worthy only to work. They are bound to the water and air and fire and the dirt beneath me. They are all beneath me, beneath any of the sacred light, she screams. Oh, really? Jasper asks. They are only of use dying for my glory and providing the jewels to my glory. She screams, and his eyebrows go up in surprise. Jesus, lady, I was only trying to get a little dirt I could spin, not a full-on confession. Jasper remarks before seemingly stepping to the side, and a gigantic crowd can be seen staring back up at her. He then leans back in. I mean, thank you for the army. But good God, woman, I'm wondering if strapping you down for a session of 50 with a psychologist isn't a better idea than just ripping you off your throne and taking your crown. What? She demands, and he shrugs. Change is coming, girl. Even if I'm somehow bested, others come still. The past returns in the golden age of, what do you call it? The age of miracles? It's coming back, and I'm just the beginning, the first bearer of miracles anew. I'll see you soon. Try not to dirty my new throne. He finishes, and the image vanishes from the viewing orb. Even with the viewing orb off, he can almost hear her scream of utter outrage. He tosses the precious glass instrument up and down in his claws, a minor wonder of axiom and glass-blowing that must have taken 1,000 hours of effort by itself. He regards the captured army, and the army he had led to this fort, all staring up at him in shock. Now you know the enemy. Now you know why there must be battle. That insane bitch thinks that if you're not bowing and scraping to her every second of the day, then you're unworthy of life. That disgusting monster clad in petty photons and calling it glamorous and holy doesn't care one whit for any of you. He crushes the orb in a single claw. There's a startled gasp from the crowd, from those who understand just how valuable it was. I wasn't lying. The age of miracles is returning, and I am merely the first soldier to arrive. More are coming, my sibling among them, my brother in mind and soul. Your so-called queen would lay you all low for the slightest inconvenience. But I will not. I invite you all to stand beside me. I will share with you my knowledge freely. I will gift unto you the memories of my training so that you can stand as strong as I. The undaunted come. Food and medicine come with them, clothes for the naked, shelter for the homeless, and direction for the lost. Stand with me. Even if you do not believe in the age of miracles, then know that we are acting in the here and now. Know that we are striking right into the corruption of the empire. If higher callings and faith do nothing to sway your heart, know that there is wealth and wine to be had, glory to be won, revenge to be taken. We go to war. He bellows out to the crowd, and the sheer sound of the cheer coming back washes over him like an ocean of adulation. He smiles. He has a proper army. He sets things in motion. The captured survivors of his blitz have lost all faith in their queen. There isn't even a holdout among the light Aramenta. Too many of them have too many friends among the others. The rations and hunting results are shared, and a feast is had by all. The dead are respectfully cremated and consigned to the remaining 3 elements equally. Some to the river, some to the air, and some sowed to the earth. Jasper takes some time to remake his shattered sword and clean himself off from the bloody mess that Terry made of him. The woman could really get her nails in, even when she couldn't crack a boulder over your head. There's a mildly surprising addition in Lady Iridescent. She had been accused of treachery and cowardice after her encounter with him and had been locked in a windowless room. Apparently, there's some kind of psychological torment that an Aramenta goes through if they're without contact with their element for more than a day or so. She had been shaking and nearly weeping to come out into light that was not her own creation. She had drunk an entire bottle of wine, half a haunch of the slaughtered pack beast being roasted over cooking fires and a bowl of reconstituted dried fruits before climbing onto one of the towers and just lying in the sun to calm herself down. According to most of the soldiers, she had taken all the blame of his forcing back the initial army onto herself. All of the punishment. She hadn't expected to survive. Jasper had to resist snorting in derision after that. The planet was savage, even where it appeared to be more advanced. Thankfully, the general conduct expected in a more civilized war was something that was not skimped out on in his training, and it was something he was glad had been passed on to his students. He'd also taken a more up-to-date map of Miru. Generally, it was as if someone had slammed a mountain range riddled with rivers into the middle of France, and the Greenstone Alliance had the northern chunk. Miru was the southern half. It looked like it would take us several days to a week of hard riding by the local speeds to reach the capital. Fort Earthgrasp is close to the border after all. He needed to consider some way to attack the city fast. Very fast. A pity that... His mind goes to the radio. It had crossed obscene distances in moments. Sure, it was about as subtle as a brick to the face. But if it could be done and a proper system set up, he could teleport his army to anywhere on the planet so long as he could get himself to the area first. Make some kind of beacon for himself and use it to transport things huge distances, but that's not something he has any experience with. He needs to get on the radio again and get talking to both Franklin and Vernon, perhaps Lore as well. If he does pull this off, though, if this can be done, then he'll be able to drop his army onto anyone's doorstep in minutes. The fear of an enemy mobilizing too fast is what caused World War I. No one could risk standing down during the tensions, as the trains would allow an army to be delivered right to the capitals before anyone knew what was happening, even if they could see it coming. Mobilizations take time. The grieving and weeping for the dead, enemies but hours before, allies that couldn't be now. It was strange how quickly the girls switched from bloodlust to mourning for their enemies, or perhaps not so strange as they were all Miru Erumenta. They were mourning for their countrywomen who, for but the grace of God, were them. He churns it over in his mind and nods. This is a good thing. Keeps his army well and truly under control, that they recognize that the war is not one of slaughter and extermination, that every enemy cut down is a possible recruit lost. This is very good. The undaunted come to be the heroes of this world, not the horrors. It's important to remember the distinction between the two. One is calculating and conscientious in its actions, the other indiscriminate. Hesitate to harm and be eager to be help. Such a mindset will leave him a champion and not a creature. War may always hold a degree of madness and cruelty, but it will be minimized. Much more akin to a series of surgical cuts to heal a sick patient than a hammer blow to shatter a wall. At least, if the option is open. He leaves instructions with all his lieutenants and takes off for Aridus Valley. He needs information, especially any information on if and where long-distance teleportation effects have been used in bulk transportation, or better yet, public transportation.